Greetings, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I'm Renan from Abuisa Commodity Brokers, and I will share a briefing towards the glycerin market in Brazil.
Abuisa Commodity Brokers, connecting companies and creating business.
As you may remember, last year we shared detailed information about the South American market, and now I'd like to update you about the Brazilian glycerin domestic market. Well, according to data from the Ministry of Economy in January 2022, glycerin exports from Brazil generated around $35.9 million, dollars, which in terms of absolute value was practically three times higher than the same period of 2021. In general, most of the volume exported in January went to China, which received around 27.3 thousand tons of Brazilian glycerin, considering the crude glycerin only, okay? Another special destination was Egypt, which imported 2.77 thousand tons of refined glycerin. Making a parallel from the 665,000 tons of glycerin produced in 2021, around 510,000 tons were exported to the Asian market. As already mentioned in our previous videos and presentations, the importance of the Chinese market for the sector is enormous. About 75% of the crude glycerin and 35% of the national refined glycerin is exported to the Chinese market. In short, it can be explained that this increase is due to the appreciation of the price of glycerin in the international market. As we already know, glycerin prices have been rising, especially since the second half of 2020. The current price levels of crude and refined glycerin are the highest in years. Due to the strong appreciation, the sector expects prices to remain firm, and it is expected that many biodiesel producers will be able to improve the profitability of their factories. I will share with you some market prices based on done business with China. As a reference, Brazilian suppliers are offering quotations of crude glycerin at levels of $870 and $880 per ton, CIF China, and with acceptance of the Chinese market, which, as informed, has demanded a lot of volume, and therefore the gap between demand and supply in recent months retreated. And we saw the resumption of some business considering March and April shipments. As for the refined glycerin, producers are offering around 1,430 and $1,450 per ton FOB Brazilian ports. And you will see some resistance from the Chinese market, which wants to negotiate at levels of around $1,600 per ton CIF. But with the high freight rates, it makes it difficult to reach that levels, taking into account that the domestic market remains heated and paying more. Global demand has intensified in the last 2 years, mainly by the hygiene and cleaning sector due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And this leads to a greater demand, mainly for refined glycerin USB grade. There's a natural tendency for large factories to invest in refining their main byproduct, since through refining it is possible to add about $150 to $125 per ton more to the unit value of the final product. Interestingly, the market continues to suffer from the international logistic crisis, which leads to a shortage of vessels and containers, in addition to congestion at ports and delays in shipments, as you all know, affecting the entire production chain. We can consider flights from Brazil to China, peer to peer, between $3,700 to $3,800 per container, which means adding around $160 per ton in freight-only quotations. In some cases, it may even be more expensive. For example, if shipped from ports in southern Brazil, whereas the ocean freight is $4,350 per container. In general, the Brazilian government has decided to keep B10 mandatory for the entire year of 2022, and this measure will certainly impact the price and availability of glycerin. Many financial analysts believe that the dollar exchange rate will continue to operate higher throughout 2022, and even more, added to the reduction of the biodiesel mandate by 10 percentile points in the new wave of COVID-19 caused by the Omicron variant are factors that could give a lot of support to prices of crude and refined glycerin on the domestic market. Well, now my colleague will share some information about the Argentinian market and also about the biodiesel here in South America. Hope you have enjoyed, and if you have further or any other questions, feel free to contact us.
Hello everyone, my name is Bruno Noronha and I'll be adding some information to what my colleague have just informed. As was previously mentioned, the Brazilian government decided to keep the mandate on B10 for the entire year, and the main reason for that was the low availability of feedstocks and its high prices. Government was aiming to keep enough volume for animal and human nutrition with that decision. The biodiesel plants were expecting to be on B15 this year, according to the national program established back in 2018, and they have invested in their companies counting on this volume. The plants are still trying to reverse this decision. However, with the news of important crop failures in Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina, it looks like we're staying on butane for another year. And this year should be another of high prices and low availability. Another South American country known as a glycerin exporter is Argentina. In 2021, the country have produced 1.89 million cubic meters, showing an increase in its production of 49% against the previous year. Out of the production, around 1.39 million cubic meters were exported, and this number is 3 times bigger than the exported in 2020. The importers in the European market is what made the numbers increase, as the domestic demand fell almost 12%. However, even with that increasing in 2021, in this first couple months of this year, the Argentinians are actually looking to import glycerin from Brazil. After Brazil changed its mandate from B13 to B10, Argentina from B10 to B5 in 2021, this year we watch Paraguay failing 30% in their soybean crop, Brazil failing 10%, and Argentina another 10%. The soybean oil keeps raising its price week after week, and we should expect a South American market working on the high side of prices for the entire year. Here we have some numbers and charts on the biodiesel production from Brazil and Argentina. The data used was obtained from ANP, the National Agency of Petroleum. If you have watched my previous presentation, you know that out of all this production, 70% is made from soybean oil. The first one is comparing the monthly production of biodiesel in Brazil. The measure used is 1,000 cubic meters. The second chart shows the accumulated volume, and as we see, the difference is not very significant, more precisely 150,000 cubic meters in the entire year. The total production of 2021 added up to 6,500 cubic meters. The third chart shows the accumulated production in Argentina. As you can see, the year of 2021 started out quite slow, but the second semester made sure that the country got out of the bad streak and avoided another year of falling volumes. The total production in 2021 was 1,890 million cubic meters against 1,150 million in the previous year. The fourth chart shows the exports of Argentina, and the local demand actually dropped around 12% in 2021. So the high increase that you saw on the previous chart can be explained by this one. As you can see, the exported volume in 2021 is 1,390,000 cubic meters, which is more than twice as big as the year of 2020.